Hey, everyone. We will get started very shortly. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in so far. Again, we're going to get started very shortly. Thank you to everyone who's on so far. We're going to get started very shortly. We're going to start off by answering questions that you may have. So if you have questions, definitely feel free to type them in the chat, or you could type it in the Q&A or type it in the chat. But we're going to get started with answering questions. And then we're going to go right off into the presentation. So again, thank you to everyone who signed up and who is on so far. Finance 101, we're going to be discussing budgets and budgeting. So we're going to get started in a few minutes. So again, thank you, everyone that's on. We're going to get started in a few minutes, few short moments. This is the Finance 101 budgeting webinar. We'll be discussing how to properly budget, save, and pay down debt. So if you have any questions, again, we will be starting off with Q&A. So if you have questions, definitely feel free to type it in the Q&A or type it in the chat, because we will be starting off with questions. We want to make sure we're hitting specific topics that you all are interested in. So we're going to get started again in a few moments.
I can't turn my video off.
You say you can't turn the video on?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me see. I might be able to. You ready for the video?
Sure.
Okay, good. I was going to see if I needed to do something.
No, it says you disabled it.
I did. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me know if you can get it now.
All right, let's see.
I made you should have been a co-host from the beginning. I'm not sure what happened there. There we go.
All right.
Cool. So we're gonna we can go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everyone for attending the webinar. Thank you for signing up. This webinar is Finance 101 budgeting. So we're going to talk about budgeting, how to pay down debt properly, saving, to basically get you started on the right track financially for 2020. Which was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this webinar, especially at the top of the year. Just to get our finances in order, get this information so we can implement and get our finances in order to have a rock star 2020. Again, yes, I'm a realtor. but this is not just for buying a home. This is just so you are financially prepared and financially situated. So that's what this webinar is for, to provide you guys with the information needed to make so you guys can have a sound financial knowledge and aspect in financial life. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself, Rachel, then I'll introduce you and I'll pass it off to you. Again, we're going to start off with questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type it in the Q&A or the chat. So we want to make sure we're answering your questions and you're getting the information that you need, that you want to receive. My name is Danielle J. Smallwood. I am a licensed realtor with Keller Williams. I'm also an investor in real estate. I do these monthly webinars, whether it be on the home buying process or whether it be providing the financial information or whether it be on real estate investing. I do this to basically give back and help and provide information for those who are in need and those who want to seek and receive this information. That's strictly why I do this, and that's strictly why it's free. I do have my co-host on here, Rachael Hanible, who is a financial coach. She is absolutely amazing at what she does. She is an Amazon best-selling author. She has an amazing book out for children. Make sure you guys get it as well. Again, it is an Amazon bestseller. That's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. She helps individuals with their personal finances and helps them get on track financially, whether it be budgeting, saving, paying down debt, and getting their credit in order. And that's what it's all about. We want to make sure we are financially sound. So Rachel, thank you again for being on this webinar. I'll go ahead and pass the baton to you.
Thank you, Danielle. So again, as mentioned, my name is Rachael Hanible. I am the founder of Miss and Peace Financial Group, LLC, where I help adults with their short-term or long-term financial goals. And I also teach children financial literacy. We teach them everything is from credit to starting a business, what entrepreneurship looks like, saving, budgeting, investing. We break down the stock market and investing in a way that these teens and preteens can understand. And then for myself, I've been able to save a year's worth of my income in cash. I've become completely debt-free, including my student loans. And my credit score currently is 838 without having to use credit repair. So a lot of what I do is me sharing my journey towards financial freedom, but also encouraging others on their path of financial freedom. Everyone has their own definition of what financial freedom looks like to them. So whatever it may be, I help them with those goals. So we're going to start off. If anyone has any questions before we dive in, I do have a few tips and things I want to give you that I've prepared for you for tonight. But if you have any questions or anything in particular you would like for me to discuss, you can kind of key them in the chat and Danielle will let me know.
Yep. So again, we're going to start off with Q&A. So if you have specific questions in regards to budgeting, saving, credits, or anything like that, definitely feel free to type it in the chat so we can get your questions answered and make sure you are receiving specific information that can help you. So again, feel free to type your questions in the chat so we can get your questions answered and make sure you can, get the information that you need.
All right, if we don't have any questions so far, I'm just going to start with my spiel and you can jump in with your questions whenever you are ready. So the number one thing we want to talk about is budgeting, because budgeting is the foundation in your personal finances and in your business finances, because even as we move on to entrepreneurship and other things that you may want to do in the future, if you don't have your personal finances together, then you'll have difficulty with handling your business finances. So the budget is the cornerstone of all of it. And so a lot of us have, we're not doing well with keeping up with our budget. And so there are a few things that we need to do first before we actually put numbers on a paper. Number one thing I think that we all should do is we should track our spending. Okay. I make all my clients do it for 10 days at least. It used to be 7 days, but I had to move it up to 10 days. So that helps you a lot. That helps you define or find where your leaks are in your budget, or where your triggers are. We have some emotional spending days. Sometimes a lot of my clients are like me. We spend more money on Sundays because there are lonelier moments on Sundays, things like that. So when you track your spending, when I say track your spending, document anything above $1 that you're spending on whatever it is you're spending on. Do that for 10 days. Then you will create short-term and long-term financial goals. So write down, short-term meaning 6 months. Write down what you would like to have completed or paid down, or paid off or saved up in the next 6 months, and give it an actual number. 9 times out of 10, my clients come to me and they just say, oh, I just want to save an emergency fund, or I just want to pay down a little bit on my credit cards. Give that, it has to have a number. Give it a number, okay? Because that way you can build your budget around that number. Give yourself a realistic number. Be real about it. But you definitely want to put exact numbers on your goals for your short term and long term, right? Because we all know we want to get in better shape. What does that even mean? We all know we should eat healthier. What does that even mean?
Right.
So this is what keeps us from actually reaching our goals, because we are not confident enough to put a number to it, put an actual goal to it, a real goal to it. And then we're just kind of like stabbing in the dark if we don't create this target. And so that is the second thing. Now, we've done all of this before we've created a budget. Now we are going to create a budget based on our triggers, based on our spending habits that we did in the first step, and based and surrounded around our goals. Okay, so if you know for sure that your triggers are telling you that you are tougher on Mondays or whatever because you didn't cook your lunch or pack your lunch or whatever it is it may be, you will create a budget around how to help you with that issue, how you can seal up that leak in your spending. Okay, most of the people I talk to do not have income problems; they have spending problems.
That's a fact. That's definitely a fact. Definitely.
Right. So this is what we want to do when we create in this budget. We want to make sure that we are solving those spending problems, and making sure that we give every dollar needs to have a home. Every dollar needs to have a place to live. If not, they're just going to go roaming the streets looking for a home, which is kind of what's happening for most of us. Right. So you want to tell it where to go. You want to create your budget at the beginning of the month. For those who have flexible income for various reasons, we want to create a budget based off the worst case scenario. Okay, so even if your expenses fluctuate, we want to base it around the worst case scenario. So, for example, if the highest gas bill you've seen in your home is $200, then we will put a budget around $200. Now, when it comes in less than that, we will have a plan for that as well to see the difference. But we want to make sure that we're okay in case the worst case scenario actually happens.
Right.
So when we're talking about our income, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, if the lowest base it around what the lowest you think you'll be able to bring in a month. Okay. And then we go from there. All right. We have any questions so far? We're good?
No questions so far. So I'll chime in a little bit, and I'll say, when you started off saying tracking your spending, that's definitely one thing. So I have a finance background, so that's kind of cheating. But one thing I definitely do is I have an Excel spreadsheet where I track basically what I have coming in monthly, basically what I'm spending, whether it be my personal account or my business account. Like literally I track everything that's going out. I don't care if I paid for the parking meter, if it's food, if it's my monthly bills, whatever it is. Like I basically track every single thing because what I personally want to see is where's my money going, where am I overspending. Especially one thing that I do is I spend on food. So for me, it's like some months I'm like, dang, I spent that much on food. Like, no, that's insane. Like, that's insane. I need to eat what's at home and not eat, paying for food when I got food at home. So that's definitely one thing that I started implementing. I would say within the past year and a half. And it's helped me tremendously because before, you spend aimlessly and you don't know where your money is going. And at the end of the month, you're like, well, where all my money go? So like for me, I started tracking because I want to know at the end of the day where my money is going. What areas do I need to improve in? For me, I know what it is. Me spending money on food. Me spending money on food. That's one area that I definitely need to improve in. And I had the same conversation with myself last week because I ate out a lot last week. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this another week. Like, I spent way too much money eating out on food when I got food at home. So for me, tracking is very, very, very important, and it helps me keep a clear head on, where my money is going. So I would definitely advise tracking your money, whether it be using an app or whether it be using an Excel spreadsheet, whether it be writing it down, whatever works for you. But definitely track.
Yeah, for sure. Do you use an app? People ask me this all the time. Do you use an app to track your spending?
I don't. I do have apps on my phone, but I honestly don't use them because you got to link your card, and I got to go. I don't like going through all this. So what I do every Saturday at 4 p.m., I sit down. I basically pull up my bank account from my app. I have Capital One, so I pull up my Capital One app. And I basically go through everything from that week where I spent, and I basically fill it in on my Excel spreadsheet. So that's just basically what I do. And if I miss a week for anything, I'll basically go, I go through the month or whatever and just basically input everything into my Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, because people ask me that all the time, and I don't use apps. I'm the same way as you say. Like, I don't like to go through all of that, but some people do.
Yeah. It's easier for some people, they use apps. They feel like the app is easier, is an easier solution. For me, it's just complicated. I don't want to have to link my bank account. Then for one app, I couldn't figure it out how to link it. So I was like, forget it. I was just using an Excel spreadsheet. So to each his own.
Yeah, I hear you. So that is huge. That like helps you basically with everything.
It do. No, it helps tremendously.
Basically with everything. So then we're going to move on to, once we build this budget, we are going to make sure there are two things included in our budget. One thing we want to include in the budget is a plan to pay down debt. We want to have a plan to pay down our debt. We also want to make sure that we have a plan to have an emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency fund already, you need an emergency fund. I don't know how many other ways to say you need an emergency fund. If you don't have at least $1,000 saved that is separate from any other savings you have, any other plans you have going on, that is not in your checking account, get your emergency money out of your checking account. And if you don't have $1,000 saved already, that is what you should do. That should be a number one 2020 goal, have $1,000 saved. All right. So you need to build a budget around that. What does that look like? How can I save $1,000? And how can I also pay down debt? Now, the emergency fund is number one. It's number one. A lot of people ask me, should I try to pay extra on my debt and try to save an emergency fund, or which one should I do first? put the extra money towards emergency fund first, because you just never know when emergency is going to happen.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah, so, and especially when we're talking about like home ownership and all that stuff, like there's all kinds of just stuff.
Yeah, you'll have emergency repairs, especially on a home. Listen, my neighbor, he had an emergency repair because he got squirrel issue. So you just never know. And I know for me, I had emergency repairs not to my home but to my car. Last year was rough for me, man. Somebody hit my car 4 times last year. And I actually got into a car accident on December 31st, the last day of the year.
Wow.
So right now my car is in the shop and I have a rental car. So of course I had to put money out, of course, to pay for the rental car and everything like that. So like you just never know what can happen where, you have to put money out. So an emergency fund definitely comes in handy when emergencies happen. Because if you don't have that money saved up, it's like, where is it coming from?
Right. And then we're like, you're going to keep borrowing. And then, you have majority of Americans can't even survive $1,000 emergency, which means you're one check engine light away from struggling, like the real struggle. Yep. So we don't want you to be that way.
Yeah.
So that's our number one goal. But then we also want to make sure that we are increasing our debt, whatever it may be. That should be part of your 6-month or your 1 year short-term, long-term goal. Making sure you, whether it's credit card debt, make sure you know what your total balances are. Make sure you know what your due dates are for each one of them. Making sure you, if it's a lot of my clients now had to make new phone calls as far as their payment amount for their student loans. Like, I guess the amounts change when the year change, or they can call and get new programs, whatever the situation is there. That make sure you are you're understanding of when everything is due. Make sure you have a plan to pay everything on time, because we want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We want to pay our debt off, and we want to also increase our credit at the same time. And the only way to do that is if you pay stuff on time.
Exactly.
Okay? So when make sure you pay stuff on time. You'd be surprised how many people have no clue of when the bills are even due. Like, but some of us, that's just like the big step right there. Like, I don't even know what to do. And then, so you want to make sure those 2 things, you build a budget around those 2 things. And there are 2 different ways you can pay down debt. And that's something I want to kind of spend a little bit of time on. There's a debt snowball method, which means that you would organize your debts from smallest balance to largest balance. And then you would pay any extra money that you can, still make the regular monthly payments on all of them, but you would pay any extra money out of your budget to the first one, and then until that's paid off, and then you keep rolling the money down until they're all paid off, basically. The avalanche method is when you sort your debt by the highest interest rate. So that's first, and then next to highest, and then interest rates going down. And you would pay any extra funds that you have towards the first on the list, and then keep going until they're done. Half the world likes the first option, half the world likes the second option. Most of the world doesn't use either one. However, so the first option helps with seeing the results quicker. So it keeps you motivated because you're paying off a smaller balance, so you'll be able to see you'll see things falling off quickly, and it will help you stay motivated to keep doing that. But the avalanche, I like it best because it saves you more money over time, because you're paying extra money on the highest interest rate. So it's really all about your habits, what motivates you, what helps you to keep going. I say pick whichever option keeps you going.
Right.
People start on one option and it doesn't help them too much, and they're not able to keep up with it, and they flip over to the other one. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I've redone budgets for many of my clients who have decided to flip over to a different option. But you definitely want to make sure that it's in your plans to pay down your debt. Okay? Any input on that?
Any questions? Any questions?
Any questions? Any input? Anything?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. We're not here to judge or anything like that. We're definitely here to help. So if you have questions, definitely feel free to type them in the Q&A or type them in the chat and get your questions answered.
We are here to help you.
Absolutely. Because I know for me, like, I didn't have this. So if I would have had, even though I you know, my background is in finance, like some stuff I had to figure out on my own. So I wish I would have had this, especially as a teenager.
Yes.
Listen.
Man, that's why I spend so much time doing what I do. The teenagers, that's what they needed the most.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, don't be afraid to ask questions. So if you got specific questions or even questions in general, definitely feel free to type them in the chat.
So while we're waiting for questions, another thing you want to do is you want to find ways to bring in additional income. We all have gifts and talents and things that we can do that someone else, that we're probably doing for free, that someone else is getting paid to do.
Right.
Every last one of us. It's never failed that I've found that we're doing something well almost every day, probably, that someone else is somewhere paid to do.
Right.
There are a lot of different side hustles. There are a lot of different things that you can do that people need help with. Don't think it's anything too small, too silly. Think outside the box when you are considering ways that you can bring in additional income. There are people who, like, I love to iron. And I would do it all day. If you give me some music, some clothes for whatever reason, that's very therapeutic to me. I'm not sure why, but there are a whole world of people who hate ironing and pay other people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of there's a lot of things that you enjoy doing. Or I was just saying to my sister, she's like an interior decorator. She just likes to do this kind of stuff. She watches these HD TV, whatever. And I was saying, you know, people who want to sell their home pay people to stage their homes for showings.
Right, right.
And she's like, for real? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, people pay for someone to come in and make their home look attractive for when people come in, or when there's time to take the pictures and things like that. Something she had never considered doing.
Wow.
Just something as a little side hustle, you know what I mean? Putting it out there, like I stage, because guess what? When it's time for me to sell my house, somebody going to stage this, because I'm not good at this. But that's just, I'm just throwing out different examples of things that, again, what are your interests? What is it that, like I said, she watches that all the time, which is what made me think of it. She clearly loves to do that. And so think outside the box, you know, do run your Googles on things that you can do to make additional money. But when we're talking about paying down debt, when we're talking about saving an emergency fund, every dollar is important. Every dollar is important. So it doesn't, even if you feel like, oh, it's only a little bit, trust me. When I was paying off my student loan debt, when I was paying off my brand new car and everything else, I was on my debt-free journey. I started by paying just an extra $5 a month on top of what they require, and then I started paying an extra $10, and then I started bringing in a little bit additional income. And if it wasn't for me paying that little bit, and growing from that and starting where I was, I would not have, you know, became debt-free when I did. So I think a lot of times we think we need to, you know, have a large lump sum of money, or we're trying to go well all at one time, and interest is accumulated small every day, you know, a little bit by a little bit every day. And so anytime you can pay whatever you can, I say pay it. Definitely want to at least give them a little bit extra, you know, whatever the minimum payment due, at least try to give them a little, like $5, $10, something. Again, that could just be one meal, one time that you're not eating out, but you're eating home instead. That's your $10. but that can save you keep doing that, that can save you a lot of money over time. So that is where any debt-free method you want to use is great, as long as you are having the goal of getting out of debt, of paying down debt. Definitely want to do that.
So can I just touch on one thing? I know you said you're debt-free. How long did that journey take for you? Not that it's specific to everyone's journey, but being as though, you've made it through that journey, how long did that journey take for you?
So because I was doing two things at one time, I was getting out of debt, and I also was saving a year's worth of my income in cash. It took me about 3 years to do so.
Okay.
But I was grinding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was going to say, so it's not hard, and it doesn't have to take long. You just have to be super motivated and super disciplined. That's it.
Free plans for people a lot, and some people they have a lot of debt. But if they stick to the plan, it won't take them that long to get out of debt. I mean, we think 2019 flew by us. You know what I mean?
Right. So again, it takes discipline. So don't think it's impossible. Don't think that you can't do it. If you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. So go into it with a positive mindset and just be disciplined. Just be disciplined from the jump. I'm still working. I'm a pretty disciplined person, but I'm still working on being more disciplined, especially when it comes to food and I'm just terrible. But I'm working. Like, my goal is to get better at it. Like, that's like I have to.
Yeah.
I just have to. And I don't necessarily have to. I want to. I just want to. Like, I just want better. So I want to cut out eating out all the time. And I don't need to eat out all the time. I really don't. But I just love food. I do. It's bad. I love good food too.
The only one, man. We have people who, are $600 in to spending on just eating just every day. $600 a month.
That's too much. That's way too much. And I honestly, for me, I don't know how people do it. Because once I get to like 100, I'm just like, yeah, I'm over it. This is enough. But eating out it's just so expensive. And I'm like super frugal, but it costs too much, and I just can't. I can't.
It definitely adds up for sure, for sure. And it's so quick too. And then you're like, oh, you want to get a tip, and then you're like, oh, this is only $5. I'm gonna get a slice of this, and then it's just like, where's my money?
Right, I get caught every time.
That's the thing that gets you those, again, back to the small leaks. That's a small leak. Oh, it's only a drink or whatever. And I even talk about investing in my seminars. I'll say, raise your hand if you feel like you have money to invest. And most people won't raise their hand. They don't feel like they have enough money to invest. And then I'll say, well, how much does $1 a day cost? And then they'll say, like, that's a trick question. I'm like, it is. And basically, I give them the numbers that, $1 a day for 25 years is a little over $9,000. It's actually $95,000. But if it was invested, 8% return, although most people are getting 11% return right now, it's almost $29,000. $1 a day. So really $1 a day, like your daily Pepsi or your daily whatever it is that you do that you're blowing $1 on.
Right.
It seems like it's only $1, but over time you do that too. You do it a lot of times, and you're not putting it in the right place. It's really costing you $29,000. You know what I mean? You got to think about it like that too when we're talking about debt, because that's compound interest. It's compound interest, and so you want your focus to really be on your net worth. A lot of the people that we are influenced by, whether it's social media or whether it is in our community, have a negative net worth, like less than $1. That's terrible. So we have to find ways to increase our assets and to decrease our liabilities in order to fix that problem with our net worth, because you definitely don't want to be worth more dead than you are alive.
Right.
And besides, we are raising a great generation of young people, and they just need great examples of people who are making great financial decisions, and maybe able to pass down something to them. They might need a little help.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. So again, don't feel like you can't ask a question, or if you have a question, definitely type it in the chat so we can get your questions answered. We want to make sure the information that you're receiving is helpful to you, and that you can apply as well.
Also, if you have not pulled your credit report in the last full year, pull your credit report, pull the whole thing, look through it, make sure that all the information on there is accurate. Make sure that if there's any disputes or anything you need to do, I think it's a good 73% of Americans have incorrect information on their credit report, which means you're paying for your mistakes and then you're paying for someone else's mistakes too. And so you want to make sure that you pull your report. You want to make sure you pull your score. I like to use myannualreport.com. They have accurate information on there. I can't stand Credit Karma, but I'm not gonna put this up there. So just make sure you pull that information. Just kind of know where you are. I know a lot of people are afraid to look. I know my score is bad. I hear that all the time. I know my score is bad. Well, one of two things is going to happen. Either you pull it and your score is going to be just as bad as you thought it was, and at least you'll now have information and tools to do something about it.
Right.
Or it won't be as bad as you thought it was, and you'll feel better about it. But you'll still have tools and information to, make it better. So go for it.
So again, their website is myannualcreditreport.com. So if you haven't checked your credit report or your credit score, definitely do so. We're in 2020. It's the start of the year. Even if you're afraid to look at it, do it anyway. At some point, we just have to get over that hump of their negative mindset and just do it. Just do it. You need to know what's on your credit report. You need to know your credit score, especially if you want to create a better future for yourself. If you want to be financially sound, you just have to do uncomfortable stuff. Even for me as an entrepreneur, if I want to be successful, I have to do uncomfortable stuff. So whatever it is you want to be successful at, whether it be in your finances, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in business, you just have to do some uncomfortable stuff to be successful. So don't be afraid. Just go on my annualcreditreport.com. Just go on there, check your credit score, look at your report, see if the information on there is accurate. Get over that hump and just do that uncomfortable thing, especially if you want to change your future. If you want to be sound financially, do what's uncomfortable. That's the only way you can be successful, because comfort will kill you. Like we just want to be better in 2020. Like that's my goal. I want to be better in 2020. I don't want to continue, not saying that I'm not good, but I just want to be better. Like my goal every day is just to be better. So let's be better in 2020. Let's really change our situations.
And you wanna a lot of people are thinking of, like, oh, you only live once, we're just gonna enjoy life. That's a lot of things that I heard when I was on my debt-free plan, like, oh, most people die with student loan debt. Like, don't worry about it. It's going to be there regardless. You might as well live life. And A, I'm glad I didn't listen to them. B, when you understand that, so like our finances is just a part of everything, every part of us, like our mentally, physically, emotionally, like it just really affects us. And I know at my last seminar 2 weeks ago, I showed them reports that 70% of doctors say that their patients come in complaining about financial issues, financial stress, and they're seeing like health changes because of this financial stress. And so you're really shortening your life. You're really not, you know what I mean? When you don't have certain things in order, when you don't have a emergency fund, when you don't have certain things in order for your children and things like that, that stress, that missing piece, which is why I named my company that, is taking us out of here. And so we want to make sure when you think of spoiling yourself, that you want to spoil yourself with options. You want to kind of change that. You don't, not necessarily shoes and things like that, but you want to spoil yourself with options so that you have plenty of opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do. Your credit score is good. You don't have to worry about anyone denying you of anything. You don't have to worry about an emergency coming. You don't have to worry about, again, a check engine light messing up your whole 6 months. Like some people take them so long to rebound from one thing.
Right. And not even that, just to piggyback off what you said, where a lot of people said, you know, you only live once. I don't want to die with a bunch of debt, like regardless of whatever it is. That's just not what I want for myself. So sometimes, even as we're changing as human beings, I know this ain't got nothing to do with finance, but still, even as we're changing as human beings, we have to change our mindset as well. So we can't, like, even if someone told you, well, you only live once, if that's not what I want for myself or my life, that's just not what I want. That may be what you want, but that's not what I want. So sometimes we have to stick to our guns and believe in ourselves and believe in what we want, because a lot of times people will talk us out of great things. Like they will literally talk you out of great things because they don't have faith within themselves to achieve it. Mm-hmm. Whether it be, you know, getting yourself together financially or owning a home or running a business. Some people just will put that negative spirit upon you and say negative things towards you because they don't see that within themselves. So sometimes you just have to believe in yourself that you can achieve certain things, and you can't listen to the people who talk negative or the naysayers or those who doubt you. You just have to look within and believe within yourself. And it's funny you said that, and it's funny that I'm even talking about this right now, because I was having a conversation with my stepdad on Sunday. And we were just talking about some stuff, and we were just talking about how I'm really, in 2020, how I'm really ramping up with the real estate investing. And one thing he told me, he was like, I don't care what nobody else tell you. If that's what you want to do, and that's what you really, really want to do it. He said, don't do anything for nobody else. Don't change for nobody else. Don't change what you want to do for nobody else. Do what you want to do. And that's just how I'm just at that point right now. It's like, because a lot of people will talk you out of literally doing great things, or you'll sit there, you want to do something, but you're waiting for the next person to do it along with you. And you'll be sitting there waiting forever, and you'll never accomplish, whether it's financial freedom, you'll never accomplish it because you're waiting for a partner to accomplish it with you, when everybody ain't meant to go with you. So that's just my little spill.
Oh,
I went on a little tangent. Sorry.
Oh, the tangent, that was perfect. I think that, again, we don't really realize, I mean, in the last 4 days, I've heard of all types of emergencies that people have come about that has, like, really, they don't know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Normal everyday stuff, like water heater. Someone else I know, the washing machine is gone, just went this weekend. It's just like regular old life stuff happens, and for whatever reason, we let it catch us by surprise every time. And again, something can knock you down where you'll be 6 months trying to recoup from one thing. By the time you recoup, you know something else is gonna happen, right?
Right.
If you do not have an emergency fund, if you do not have money set aside, again, it should be separate, not in your checking account. Then I tell my clients that's equivalent to driving in a car fast with no seatbelt. Like eventually you're gonna hurt yourself. Eventually something's gonna happen. And you just don't wanna, again, we're gonna be using more wisdom in 2020. We want to change. Obviously, what we've been doing in the past hasn't been working, so we're just gonna do something. We're gonna try something new. You know, at this point, we're just gonna try something new. Because even for me, I mentioned all the things that I've accomplished financially. I still gotta go every 6 months. I review what my personal finance goals are. Every 6 months. And as a coach, as a consultant, like I am my number one, like I'm the example. I'm proof that it works. So I have to continue to do it too, you know, to make sure that, like you said, better, not perfection, but better, or, you know, bigger dreams, better future, you know, bigger possibilities, you know. So more places I want to travel. And that's another thing too. I mean, I posted something earlier that said, like, someone tweeted, "Are you guys really homebodies or are you just broke?" And the person responded by saying, "The brokest people go out the most."
Exactly. No, they really do.
I
I don't understand how.
Yeah, like we taking trips and out in the club, we going out the park. I'm like, what are y'all celebrating? Nothing even y'all do nothing yet. But I've also noticed that a lot of those people are not really enjoying. Like they're worried about like, oh yeah, you buying drinks and doing, but you're doing this and you're not even able to fully enjoy it because you're worried about if you come back from your trip, how everything gonna get paid or how your fridge gonna get stocked or how think like. You're not really fully enjoying your trip if you don't even know how the heck you're going to pay for it, or if you're going to be the next 4 months trying to recoup. You know what I mean? Which leads me to our handy dandy taxes that everyone's getting ready to. Y'all create a budget for your taxes before you get it. Again, it should support the budget that you already have. It should just be an extension of the budget you already have. If there are plans of things you want to pay down, pay them down. If there are plans of things that you want to, save up, do that. Again, if it's home ownership, if it's buying a new car, if it's a trip or whatever, let it be an extension of the budget that you already have. Okay? I don't want to see people just getting new furniture every year, getting a new car every year. Like, what was wrong with the one from last year?
And let me just piggyback off there real quick. So if you're looking to buy a home soon, don't buy the car first. Get the home first, then buy the car.
Right.
Because the car will mess you up. So get the home first, then get the car.
Yes.
Any questions at all? Any questions at all? Don't be afraid to ask questions. Any questions at all?
Oh, we're here. No question is a silly question.
Absolutely. So again, don't forget to pull your credit report, check your credit report. Don't forget to track your spending, see where your money is going. After you track your spending, you can create a budget. You create a budget that works for you, whether it be the debt snowball or the avalanche. And if you need help, definitely get with Rachel. Believe me, she can help you tremendously. Don't be, and this is one thing I say on every webinar. Don't be afraid to use your resources.
Right.
Like don't be afraid to use your resources. People are here for a reason. People are here to help. So don't be afraid to use your resources. I know I love helping people. But I like helping people that want help. It's a difference between someone that wants help and someone that doesn't want help. So again, don't be afraid to use your resources. Don't be afraid to reach out. No question is a dumb question, especially when it comes to finances. That's something that you definitely want to get in order. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask for help, especially when you have people that can help you. So any questions at all? I know somebody got one question, at least one. Whether it be asking Rachel, how did she, get debt free, whatever. I know somebody got one finance question, at least one. But again, don't be afraid to implement any of this information. You have to. If you want better, you have to implement the information. You can't just attend webinars and think, just because you attended a webinar, your situation is going to change. You have to. Nice. So I'll go and say, it definitely starts with mindset. So make sure you have your mindset in order. You're thinking positive thoughts, whether you need affirmations, whatever the case may be. I know me personally, I have affirmations that I say twice a day. I say them in the morning as well as before I go to bed. And a lot of times I say them throughout the day as well. So if you need to, in order for you to get your mindset right, if you need to say affirmations or if you need to read your goals aloud, also, do whatever you need to do, whether you need to read motivational books, whether you need to watch a motivational video, whatever it is, get your mindset right to help you put you in that frame and be in that energy of changing your situation, because that helps tremendously as well. And once you have your mindset right, write your goals down on what you want to achieve. just the beginning of the year. It's 2020. If you need help with getting your goals in order, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Even though I'm sitting in my home office at home. But if I look past my computer, my vision board is right in front of me. This right here, actually, that's on my wall. These are my affirmations, actually. I don't know if you can see them clearly.
I can't see them.
But those are my affirmations. So sometimes I come in here and say them, or sometimes I'll say them in my room in front of my mirror that I have. But you know, it starts with mindset, and it starts with writing down your goals, and it starts with implementing. You can't achieve nothing if you don't implement. And it doesn't have, whatever you implement does not have to be perfect. It won't be perfect. It just won't be. But at some point you have to take some type of action in order to achieve anything. So I went on another tangent, but
no, that was perfect. Perfect. Again,
I just want us to do better. I just want us to achieve our goals and be successful in whatever it is we want to, whatever it is we want to do. Whether it be in our finances, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in entrepreneurship, or whether it be in our career or corporate America, like whatever it is, I just want us to be successful with it and not play around with it. It's too much out here. Yeah. Like it's so much for us it's so much information, and we could be successful in so many ways. We just can't sit around no more. We got to take action. And I just want to see everybody be successful, and I just want to see everybody take action. That's the only reason why I do these webinars. I just want to see people achieve their goals. That's it. But that's another tangent I just went on again.
It's not no tangent. I don't know why you keep saying this tangent.
But any questions? Rachel, did you want to reiterate anything at all?
So we definitely want to make sure we are tracking our spending for 10 days. We definitely want to make sure that we're clear about what our 6-month and 1-year goals are. We want to make sure we give them actual numbers. If it's a certain amount we want to pay down, we want to make sure we write that down. Mm-hmm. If there is a certain amount we want to save up, we want to make sure we write that down. If you do not have $1,000 saved in emergency fund, that should be on top of your list. Mm-hmm. And then we will create a goal based on those two things: how we can seal up the holes and the triggers in our budget, in our spending habits that we already have, and how we are going to pay down debt and save an emergency fund. All that needs to be included in your budget. We're going to budget things that fluctuate. If your income fluctuates, we are going to build a budget around the worst case scenario. The lowest income you're possibly going to get, and then the highest that your bills could possibly be. We just want to make sure that you don't have a full-blown heart attack if you do experience that worst case scenario, right, if that happens to happen 1 month. So we want to make sure you're okay, you're prepared. Again, everything I ever teach is about peace. It's about peace of mind. It's about you sleeping a little bit better at night. It's about you not having to, I see people all the time in the checkout line grabbing at their chest when they realize the total. So that's not peace, okay? So that's all my clients do. Whatever you got to do to get you one step closer to peace, whatever that may be.
Right.
So, again, with anything small things add up. Some of my clients, we have different challenges. Save every $5 bill you get for the whole month, or whatever. Of course, most people have like change jars and things like that. All of that helps you get to where you need to be. So don't despise the small things, and just be committed. Whether you choose the avalanche debt pay down plan, or you want to do the snowball option, you can do that as well. Whatever you do, I would say be committed, be consistent with it, and find creative ways or other ways that you can bring in any additional income. Anything that you can do. You can teach a class on something. You can do anything.
Sell some stuff.
Sell some stuff. Everyone knows how to listen. If you're selling cupcakes, I might be one of your first, But I knew for a while, I knew I needed to make extra money when I was younger. I was good at Excel. And I kind of found out there was a lot of people who don't know anything about Excel. And I used to have Excel classes in my little apartment, my little 1-bedroom apartment. People would come, or I would go to different churches. I was really big on the churches because they would have like older women who do their finances, but just still writing it in a composition book. And I was like, God, I made a lot of money doing it. Just teaching people how to import information in Excel. So I'm saying it to say, you don't have to think too deeply when you think about, how you can bring in extra money. It doesn't have to be like, it's ridiculous, but extravagant thing or whatever. But whatever it is you like to do or whatever you do well, know for sure that there's a lot of people who don't know how to do it, who would love to pay you to do those things. So there's that part too. So there's our recap.
Absolutely. Any questions? At all? Any questions? Seems like we won't have any questions today. That's a first.
Okay. Well, anyone who is nervous about asking a question can reach me or request a one-on-one at RachelHanible.com, RachelHanible.com. You can request a one-on-one session. Most of them they're virtual, so you can kind of, like we're doing a video call now, you can do a video call. It comes with a personalized savings goal plan and a pay down your debt plan spreadsheet, budget spreadsheet. All of that comes with each package. So if you want to have a session, you can go there to request a session.
Cool. So for those of you who are interested in buying a home or in real estate in general, you can feel free to reach out to me. Social media, Instagram, Miss Smallwood 24, MSSMALLWOOD, the number 2, the number 4 on Instagram. Facebook is Danielle J. Smallwood Real Estate. You can feel free to send me a message. You can feel free to schedule a free phone consultation with me as well. But those are the way to reach me. So again, if you have questions, you probably should already have my email address. But if not, it's D Smallwood, SMALLWOOD, the letter R, the letter E at gmail.com. Feel free to reach out to me. I answer questions. Feel free to email me to book a consultation. That's fine also. But again, do not be afraid to use your resources. They can help you and they can help you change your life as well. So don't be afraid to use your resources, whether it's Rachel or whether it's myself. We're definitely here to help you. So if we don't have any questions, Rachel, I thank you for being on once again. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun. You're always providing so much information. For those of you who are on, who attended, I thank you for being on. I thank you for attending. I definitely hope the information has helped you. And I definitely hope you implement what was presented. And if you need clarification on anything, please reach out again. It's 2020 and I just want to see everybody be successful. And I just want to see everybody, change their life in a positive way. And not just talk about it, but also be about it. That's just what I'm on in 2020. No more talking about it. I just want to be about it. I just want to be better. So if no questions, we are going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you again, Rachel. I appreciate you. Again, we'll do this again, of course.
Thank you. See you.
All right.